The secret to perfect deadlift technique is to learn to lift badly. So the issue that often presents in clinic is somebody, usually a young man, will come in and say, I injured my low back deadlifting, I had very good form, but one day my form slipped or leaked, and when I bent my back I injured it. So the point is that really what they're saying is that their back was not very strong when it was bent and was only strong when it was straight, i.e. there was a lack of resilience in the back, or the back was fragile, the back was trained only to lift in one specific way. This begs a couple of questions. Firstly, where does the idea of you should keep your back straight when deadlifting come from? Certainly it doesn't come from the science. I've looked, I can't find any evidence in scientific literature for it. If you can find it, then please send it to me, prove me wrong. I suspect the truth is it's a self-perpetuating myth that when people have learned to train with a straight back, and then when their form has leaked and they've bent their back, they've become injured. I think you can see where the evidence comes from, because yes, they bent their back and they injured, but it was actually a lack of training with a bent back that caused them to have the injury, rather than the fact that one's back needs to be straight. Secondly, I think one should look for some examples of, or one can look for examples of bent back lifting in world record attempts of deadlifting, and you'll see that actually anybody that lifts really super heavy, they always bend their back. So the secret to perfect deadlift technique is there is no secret to perfect deadlift technique. There is no perfect technique. For a healthy back, you should learn to lift with a straight back, with a bent back. In fact, the worse the technique, the better. You need to build in tolerance. Obviously, you need to start low, build the weight up slowly. But in clinic, I will encourage people to lift with one leg deadlift technique, or maybe one foot slightly raised, maybe the toe slightly raised on one side, heel slightly raised on others. Throw in variation. Throwing in that variation builds in resilience and tolerance to those times in life when you can't have perfect technique, when a bit of fatigue creeps in, when you're not standing quite in the middle of the bar. You need to have that variation built in. Don't train a very specific single technique, because that single specific movement pattern will leak. You need to be able to lift different ways. Now, these ideas can stimulate a very natural fear response in people. It's understandable that you don't want to train to lift with a bent back if you believe that's going to hurt you. But the truth is, you've got two options. You can either avoid the things that you believe are going to cause you pain and try and live your whole life avoiding flexion, avoiding sitting slumped, avoiding standing at the kitchen worktop because you've got a flexion sensitivity, and avoiding lifting heavy things with a bent back, or confronting it, and confronting it carefully, confronting it sensibly, addressing the flexion sensitivity and building these things up slowly, and getting a back that you can actually do what you want to do with and lead a normal life with. So I hope that's interesting and useful. If you've got any questions, my name is Adam Richmond. I'm an osteopath based in Nottingham. I can be contacted through my website, which is www.painman.co.uk. Thank you. The secret to perfect deadlift technique is to learn to lift badly.